Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Confidently Pick Your Next Business Investment Summit. I am Heather Wild, and this wonderful wild woman over here is Tania. Is it Dakka or Dakka? I didn't ask.
Dakka, you got it right.
Hi, Tania. Thank you so much for being here and being willing to share your expertise on copywriting. I'm so excited to jump in this with you. I kind of stepped on your answer, but what do you do?
I play with words. I'm a copywriter and copy strategist to 6, 7, and 8-figure coaches and business owners. So I help them write their words.
Lovely. And you actually do a couple other things as well. Do you want to just throw those out?
Yeah, I help with branding and marketing and help them figure out, positioning and messaging in a whole as a whole. So it's marketing mindset and messaging is what we actually focus on. I'm the copy strategist. Those are the other things that I also support in.
Nice. Okay, so this was not in the list of pre-approved questions, but for people that don't quite understand, like, what is a copywriter? What is a messaging or strategic messaging?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that because so many people don't know what copywriting is, and it is basically your social media, your emails, your web copy, your sales pages. It's your words. It's the words that you put out there into the world, and they're not limited to just the things you're using to promote. So a lot of people think that their brand is, the things they talk about on social media that pertain to their business, but literally your brand is all of who you are when you show up online. So copywriters often will step in and write to sell, where coaches are busy thinking like coaches, and then copywriters are busy thinking like salespeople. So we get to do the other side of the conversation.
Yeah. So how I kind of think of it is, like, when I came into the coaching world, I'm a pretty strong writer, and I would write these amazing posts in my mind, and I would get a lot of people cheering and like, yeah, that's a great, I had a lot of fans, but they weren't converting. And
Mm-hmm.
so writing versus writing to convert, very different skill sets.
They are very different. It's easy to get your passion onto the page, but then you got to figure out what's the switch, what's the linchpin that's going to say, yes, I trust them enough to give them my money, right? So good point. And your
Yeah.
copy is very excellent, by the way.
Well, thank you. And you helped me a lot with my copy. So yeah, full transparency, Tania is someone that I have actually hired to help me in my business. And I was at a time, for me personally, I was still figuring out copywriting because it is complicated. And I was in a very deep, dark depression, and I was not showing up in my business. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna outsource.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're there for.
Yeah, so that's, we'll talk a little bit more about when you need these type of services, but
Yeah.
that's how it happened. And I got a referral to her, and it was good. It was real good. So and I
Yay.
know her to be ethical. I loved, her sales processes wasn't pushing, it wasn't, anything. It was just like, hey, this is what I do. Are we a good match? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um yeah. So how can copyright writing benefit us and our businesses?
Well, I think you touched on that most right here with just knowing what the hook is that's going to push them, not the hook, but the point that's going to push them over the edge. You also, as a coach, find that sometimes that people are posting the passion posts and this is what's happening, this is the stories, this is whatever, but then sometimes they'll put a CTA, sometimes they won't, or the CTA will be off and it will feel like a disconnect to the reader and won't push them over the edge and get that yes from them. So the difference comes in being able to focus on that one goal, what regardless of whether or not it's to sign up or just brand awareness, or actually to get them to say yes to a freebie or service or program. So you have a copywriter is focused on that end goal, where the coach is focused on oftentimes the passion, not necessarily all the time, but oftentimes they're focused on teaching.
Right. And talking about why it's important and all those things. And I think we haven't talked about this, but I think that is probably a bigger problem for those of us who are super high integrity. You know, we're so passionate about teaching and sharing and helping people that we forget that, like, we got to make a living too.
Yeah. A lot of coaches find it hard to get that CTA out there. And a lot of it can come from, especially the newer coaches, they're not really they're not really super sure about themselves. So they'll,
Mhm.
they'll put a post out and maybe they'll get some rah-rahs behind it, but they don't feel like, this is my job. I need to ask for this sale. But you know, that's one of, like, that's your business. That's the lifeblood of your business. You have to be able to do that. And if you can't do that, you have to find somebody that will either nudge you to do it or do it for you.
Yeah, 1000%. I, came in with like very rose-colored glasses, and I just wanted to help people. I didn't want to sell. I didn't want to sully my hands with any sales or marketing, which is hilarious that I ended up being a sales coach. But a lot of us feel that way, like we just want to help people. But what I had to realize was that if I'm not selling and making money doing this thing that I do feel like is my passion and my purpose, then I've got to go get another job somewhere to pay the bills. And then that's all this chunk of time that I'm not working on my spiritual path, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
it's something that I think a lot of us struggle with, especially the people that are really in the business, whatever business they're in, not just coaches and healers, but service providers,
Yeah.
really in it for the right reasons. It can be difficult to step into that kind of sales mindset.
That's true. That's true.
Perfect. So what type of entrepreneurs does copywriting benefit the most in your experience?
There are two kinds. The ones who can't write,
Mhm.
like they are just like, I don't even want to be the face. Like there are some entrepreneurs who just want to be behind the scenes doing the coaching and don't want to be out front at all.
Mhm.
And then the entrepreneur who is too busy to be out front because they are so packed behind the scenes, right? So those are and there's a range in between, but the most often times I see are like, I just don't want to do this. And being
Mhm.
on social media is such a massive, part. I mean, it is marketing for most of us nowadays. It's not a part of our marketing. It is our marketing.
Mhm.
So, if you struggle to be out front, you need to find a way to get past that struggle and get the help you need to get out there.
Yeah, 100%. Or, I've been doing social media for years, so I did have some burnout, but I also just had a lot of trauma coming up in this past
Mm-hmm.
year, and it was impossible, and
It makes it like that, man.
I'm sorry.
No, I said it makes it like that sometimes.
Yeah, and it was just like, and then I was shaming myself for not showing up, and all this stuff, and I was just like, okay, this business is important and you can't do it right now, so you need to find somebody who can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely. And now, what stage of business do you think hiring a copywriter is best for, and when is too early for most coaches and healers to do this?
So most coaches and healers don't need a copywriter until they know who they are, right? And that is a trial and error period in and of itself, especially people just jumping online, and they catch the wind of, I made $6 million in this last hour and blah blah blah, and everybody just like freaks out and wants to do it. So it's so funny. But you don't need it if you don't know who you are. You don't need it if you don't know what you do. You don't need it if you don't know who you serve. So if you don't have all three of those boxes checked, you do not need a copywriter or a copy strategist or anything. You need to do the work. And that does not mean that you don't need to coach. That means you need to be out there talking to people
Mhm.
and finding what your strengths are by failing, by offering stuff and letting people, and then that's how you find out who you are. So if you know who you are, you know what you do, you know who you serve, and you have the funds to invest, then that's fine. But if you know who you are, what you do, and who you serve, but you don't have the funds to invest, then do it yourself. Continue to work on it yourself. There's so many resources out there. There's so many swipe files. There's so many programs. There's so, like, you have to be careful, but like there are ways to do it. You can do it on your own if you don't have the budget. Don't ever go into debt. If you're not making, I would say if you're not making $3,000 a month, then you don't need to outsource anything really, especially when it comes to copy. At that point, I would invest in the foundational pieces, like what your flagship program, your sales pages for your flagship program, your funnel, whatever. But if you got to have your ducks in a row first.
I love it. Thank you so much for your honesty. And again, we have another expert who isn't trying to sell to everybody, who isn't telling you, this is the solution for everybody, right? And that's really, really a mark of a high integrity entrepreneur and somebody that, it's a good sign that they're safe to invest with. They still might not be the right person for you. We're going to talk a little bit more about questions and everything, but it's a hallmark of somebody who isn't just out to like get your money.
Yeah, and that's people that have gone that road and invested in or pushed people to invest in their services. What you find is that it ends up being a bad situation on both sides, and it's just not worth it, right? Like I was in that frame of mind at one time, where I was like, I had to pay the bills. Let me work with whoever and whatever. Now I don't have that need, so I don't like focus, because those things bit me in the ass every time. I never pushed anybody. My thing has always been, if I'm not a fuck yes for you, then I'm not a fuck yes, or I'm not going to work with you at all. I'm not going to beg anybody. I'm not going to chase anybody. I never was going to do that. But people that would approach me, even though I got the ick, just having that conversation, I would still say yes. And it ended up bad. So you have to feel really good about who you're talking to, and you have to feel like, it's going to benefit both of you, not just, I got off on a tangent. Sorry.
No, do not apologize. No, that's exactly the kind of stuff that, in addition to what we're talking about, being real and raw about our own experiences, as sellers, as marketers, and as consumers, because it's just helping to drive home the point, like why this is such an important conversation to be having right now. And, I can relate to, I was in courses and they were teaching a sleazy way of selling, and it did not feel good, but I didn't trust myself enough. I didn't know enough about sales. And so when they told me that it wasn't sleazy, that it was just my mindset, I was like,
okay.
Well, I was like, I kind of don't think so, but I was like, let me go work on my mindset. I did work on my mindset, and I did need to work on my mindset, but even after that, I was like, nope, this feels unethical.
Yeah.
But in that time, I was spending, $2,000, $4,000, $6,000 on, multiple programs, and I was working as an Uber driver, don't let people tell you that Uber drivers are getting rich out there, because in most places they are not. But that's another common lie, but that's a whole other industry. But I was like, okay, let me try it. And I tried to tweak it so that it didn't feel quite so disgusting, but I didn't really feel happy about what I was doing. And I ended up with people that weren't a good fit. And it was a not fun experience. So I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And that, that we'll talk more about this when I do my segment, which is, going to be about like how to hire a sales coach, and kind of like, sales in general. You don't like pushing people to sell or pushing people to buy and tricking people into buying and all this stuff. It is a terrible idea. Like it can work sometimes in the short run, but it is going to bite you in the ass hard.
Well, if you're big enough and you've got the loopholes built into your contract system, then you don't have to worry about it. You can just take everybody's money and be okay and still sleep at night.
And I'm glad that you brought that up. And I won't mention names, but that kind of stuff is actually people are starting to stand up and say the guru is naked. So I think of it like The coaching industry has really functioned kind of like an alcoholic family, you know, where it's being run by a narcissist or narcissists, and everybody's walking around and smiling and saying they're great, they're so great. Don't you think they're great? I think they're great. And there's a few of us that are hanging back, and we're like, no, they're not great. And for years now, whenever you raised your hand and were like, I don't think that sounds right, or you know what, I don't think that person's as perfect as you think they are. People, and I've had people try to do it in the last few weeks as I've gotten louder about this stuff. You know, people just like in a narcissistic or an alcoholic family system, you know, or a cult, you know, people will tell you, oh, we're just being negative. Stop being so negative, right? But enough people have had the bad experiences that people are starting to talk. And so I know there's a very loud conversation going on in Lit Up and Loaded right now, the entrepreneur group, female entrepreneur group. There's some Reddit threads, and there's some very interesting Yelp reviews about a huge name in the personal growth industry.
Wow.
Where there are some people giving 5 stars, but there's a lot of people giving 1 because they're talking about, you know, the high pressure sales tactics that were used to enroll them in a month or a whole year of coaching that they had to pay for up front, but it was supposed to be a money back guarantee. And the coaches are flaking and not, you know, showing up, and people can't get their money back, and they're going online talking about it. So the days of these predatory bro marketer, sleazy, slimy, hype everybody up and take their money, and we don't give a damn if people actually get results, they're coming to an end.
Yeah. And it will, that's probably going to be faster than people realize, but it's unfortunate that so many people had to eat it in that way, you know?
Yeah.
I just can't even fathom being like that. Like I can't wrap my head around being that kind of person.
Well, and you know, somebody came at me in a post because I was like, how to spot a narcissistic coach, because this person came at me in the DMs, and when I set a boundary with them, they threw a temper tantrum, and I was like, that's narcissistic behavior. Now, and they were like, you can't diagnose narcissistic personality disorder, and I'm like, I didn't say I was diagnosing NPD, but I was pointing out traits of a toxic person. Like, somebody doesn't have to be clinically narcissist to be a big fucking problem, right?
Yeah, sure.
But one of the primary traits, and this is something that I realized as I was writing my book, my first book, that was all about how to protect yourself online and make smarter investments, is that narcissists and sociopaths are very attracted to the guru lifestyle. Because there's no regulation. They get to be their own boss. They get a lot of fawning fans. These type of people need lots of attention. And their grandiose personalities are very charming. They're very magnetic. And so they're very good at marketing, and they have no empathy and no conscience. Then they can rationalize anything. And so they often do shoot to the top very quickly. And some of them have stayed there for years because they build that cult of personality. And you know, they tell you if you're not getting results, it's because your mindset's bad. So you just keep pouring more and more money and time and everything into these people because
fix my mindset.
It's just it's just mindset. And so that, you know, that type of person, like, it's very easy for them to make sales because they have no moral compunction about saying and doing whatever, you know.
Right.
Then those type of people, if they're in a business environment, they can't teach you how to be a narcissist. They can't teach you to have that personality and no empathy. And so a lot of people put a lot of money to these people because they're making lots of money, but they don't learn anything.
That's true. They get strung along and believing that they're going to eventually get there. Just keep investing, keep going. You'll eventually get there.
Yeah. No, if you've been working with somebody for 6 months and you have not gotten results, and you can honestly say that you are showing up and you're doing everything that they're telling you to do, or all your agreed upon things, and you're not getting results, it's not your mindset. It's they're either not teaching you well, they're not supporting you and making sure that you're implementing effectively, or, you know, it's just not the right fit. Right.
But
I'm interested to hear your take on this. I haven't talked to other people about it, but ethical selling, ethical marketing, this problem that we're, you know, bringing to light in the coaching industry is becoming a new marketing trend. And I think it's going to be fascinating to watch these people jump on it in the next 6 months.
Oh yeah. After we did your stuff and the ethical selling and all of that, I started to see it in more and more places. I was like, well, that's fun. I wonder what's going to happen. Like you just have to watch. Like you can't really, I don't know. I can't predict because I don't see like beyond the first or the single post. But it won't take long. It'll be probably 6 months to a year before, and then everybody's going to have that baked into what they're talking about. Because now, like especially now when you do the summit, when you put the summit out there, it's going to begin to get on people's radars, and they're going to start to say, hey, yeah, I'm ethical. I do that. I teach ethical sales
Mhm.
because I don't teach bro marketing, therefore I teach ethical sales, right? No.
Well, and I did another post, and I did a live in my group. I need to put it on my public profile and on YouTube too, where just because somebody says that they are ethical does not mean that they are.
All right.
There was a program I invested in because they emphasized leads free sales. And I got in and I was like, you use neuro linguistic programming in your sales script. I don't think that's ethical, And then there was another one-to-one coach that I worked with that talked. I don't follow her anymore, so I don't know. But at the time, she talked a whole lot about ethics, and in working with her, like it was a far more subtle type of sleaziness, and that I didn't recognize until a year in, and then I was like, oh
Wow.
my God, like she doesn't do pushy selling, but what she does is that she makes you feel like she love bombs you, right? And makes you feel like you're so important and you're really friends. And then she just sells to the same group of people over and over again, whether they need it or not.
Right.
Right. So it's not the pushy, slimy, manipulative sales in the way that we see with like the more overt bro marketing model. But there was still like, oh, wait, no, this is not what I call ethical. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
if you got a fake, then that disqualifies you from ethics. Like I think NLP is kind of hard to get around, period. Like copywriting is basically NLP.
right.
So
Right.
I feel like that's a little bit hard to get around. But if you are pretending and love bombing and then, just pushing after that to get the sale after, then that's completely different. That I don't think.
That's disgusting. What I have a problem with, and this is, I'm glad that you own that like, yeah, that marketing in general can, definitely you can use NLP, and there's a way to use it to get people's attention and to show them, right? The value of things. And then there's this way of frying people's nervous systems with it so that they're
Okay.
off
Okay.
balance and they're more easily
Hmm.
manipulated. And that's the stuff
Yeah.
that's
That
gross.
makes sense. That makes sense. And to like, I think when your copy becomes predatory like that, then that's an unethical use of NLP. Um, there was something you said that made me. I would when you cannot follow through with what you have promised, you know, and a lot of them don't understand that they're not following through, right? Like in their eyes they set themselves up and they put the spin on it. Like my job is to put spin. I'm not putting shade on spin because my job is to put spin, but that spin has to be backed up,
Right.
right? You have to be able to back up the spin. If you can't back up the spin, then it's unethical.
Right. And this is where we get into, very carefully crafted testimonials and case studies that present a very skewed picture. It's not necessarily an outright lie, but it's a very skewed picture, and really making it sound like most people are getting those results. When the reality is, especially if it's like one of these big group programs, most people are not getting those results.
Right.
That's
Especially when you've only got like a 2% completion rate or 10% completion rate. I don't even know what it is. In most group coaching programs, right? So you have to also read, like you have to make sure that the testimonials you're reading are not the same testimonials over and over again. So they'll place the same testimonials over and over with a different picture or with a different font or a different lead, and it's still the same person, but a different part of it. So that's another way that testimonials get skewed, as you said.
Yeah. And this was a big one when like, because I would sign up for these group programs, and we're going to get back to copywriting in a second, but this is all really good information for you guys to know, right? So I was 11 years in before I found out that it's common practice for people to use the testimonials and case studies of, let's say, an advanced entrepreneur who already has 4,000 followers. They've got they've got a Facebook group with 10,000 people in it. They've got an email list with 5,000 people in it. And they come in to work with the coach one-to-one, and they have phenomenal results in the first month because they already have all this momentum and a warm audience and yada, yada. But they will use that testimonial to market a program to brand new entrepreneurs. And there's like next to no way that the brand new entrepreneur is going to have that same kind of result, anything approaching that. And it doesn't matter how good your mindset is. And it doesn't matter how much you pay for this program. Like if you don't have that foundation and momentum, it's not going to happen that quick. I mean, it's possible, but it's very not probable.
So I have a question for you though.
Yeah.
Do people do they go into those things believing that those outrageous results can be theirs if they don't have that foundation, if they don't have any kind of foundation?
I absolutely.
Really?
Yep. Because they make it sound as if it's all about if you're committed, if you're all in, if you've got the right mindset, if you're determined that you can make this happen. And it's so funny because like I came from the sex industry. I was used to being like skeptical as hell.
But I know. I was like, what?
I know. But I came into this and it was like very much portrayed as like the coaching world and everybody's here to help people. And that's how I felt. And so naively, I was like, oh, well, this sounds too good to be true, but that's one of the things. If you think it's too good to be true, well, it's your mindset. Come pay me. If you pay me, it will show the universe that you're serious.
Oh my God.
Kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Like either out overtly or more subtly implied, like that kind of stuff. And so I was like, well, I'm a good student. I'm determined. I'm committed. I'm passionate. I know what I'm talking about. Let's go.
You tick all the boxes. Let's go.
And yeah, so, I just don't want people to go there. I know so many people they've made investment after investment after investment, and they still don't have a viable business. And that was my story for a long time. And I just don't want people to go through that.
That's true. That is, if you're new, build your skills first, build your skills first, and then worry about, copywriter or whatever. But yeah. So if it's too good to be true, just don't let them tell you that it's not.
Mindset. It's just your mindset. Stop being so negative.
You need a t-shirt that says it's your mindset.
Oh my God. It's not that mindset isn't an important thing. It's just been twisted all out of proportion. And I go the fuck off about that in my first book. And I'll probably go off a little bit. I'm trying to clean up the energy of the first book because I was so pissed when I wrote it. And I'm trying to just like, okay, let's clean this up a little bit. Okay. So this is a thing that I think a lot of people mistakenly, and some of this is from the marketing, they're like, oh, I'm just going to hire this coach and then everything's going to be easy, or I'm just going to hire this copywriter and then I'm going to have all this time on my hands because the copywriter is just going to take care of everything. So what do people need to be prepared for and committed to doing to make hiring a copywriter a great asset for their business?
So they need to be committed. They need to know that they are part of the process. So you can't hand off your copy to a copywriter and expect it to just like magically be written. It's a dance. The copywriter needs you to be energetically in the partnership so that if they're a good copywriter, they can translate what you like give to them in an interview or in a call or whatever, what you give to them, they are able to then translate and put on the page. You cannot, eventually, if you're working closely with a copywriter, eventually your copywriter will be able to go and do the things. And I mean, I had a client where I was going and she'd say, I want to write, I want to do this program, whatever. And she'd give me the name of it. I'd go off and write the sales page copy and she'd be like, wow, this is amazing. Okay, let's do it. And I was able to read her mind because we had that dance going. So once you've built that relationship and your copywriter is in your business, then you can relax and lay back. But if you have somebody doing one-off projects or your whatever, you need to be prepared for them to give you a shitty first draft, not a first shitty draft, because you're not going to get a second shitty draft, I hope. So to get that shitty first draft, and then, you know, you guys get in there and work it with the nuts and bolts, and then make it really spiffy and pretty on the second round. Sometimes it takes a third. So, you know, patience with your copywriter, first of all. Don't expect them to read your mind, because they can't tell, you know, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And a lot of people don't communicate what's going on in their mind. They kind of just give you half the story, and then you have to like fill in the pieces. And it does make it a little bit more difficult. So be prepared to be an energetic partner in the relationship is what, you know, the best thing you can do for your business.
100%. And, you know, this is something, you know, when you're looking at your copy before you're ever going to work with a copywriter, like, you know, ideally you've worked with maybe a messaging coach or somebody, you know, a business coach that is really good at helping you pull that message out. Because what happens, even when we're newer in our business, or even when we're more advanced, we know our topic, we geeked out about it to the point that we don't remember what it was like to be a beginner.
Right.
And, you know, we're so close to it that we can't see. So having that outside perspective, and, you know, you need somebody who's going to ask you hard questions. Like with Tania, I know her intake is long. Because she wants you to
Do I
get
really
it.
have to do this?
Well, no, it's not unreasonably long, but you can tell
Yeah.
that she knows what she's doing and that she's really trying to set you up for success, not just be like, ask you 3 questions and then hold on, I'm snotty. Ew. Ask you 3 questions and then be like, yep, I'm gonna turn out all your copy and it's gonna be fantastic. Like it's you know, and the point of that is there's a lot of stuff that lives in our head that we take for granted that's clear to other people just by what we say. But the more you talk to people, and like I've got somebody editing my book right now, and some of her notes, she's like, I don't understand what you're saying here. And I'm like, I do not understand. Like but it's not clear to somebody else. It's only clear
Right.
to me because I've got all this background knowledge, you know, in my head. So you know, it can be frustrating when you're working with a messaging coach or you know, learning to write your own copy, or even working with a copywriter, because you've got to get everything that's living in your head out.
Out. Yeah. And I want to add one more thing that I didn't think to add. Another expectation is not to think that the copy is going to do the sales for you. The copy is there to support you as you show up. And like, as much as I would love to go and take your business and you know, create the sleaze-free funnel that just sells all of your shit for you and just hands you millions of dollars without you having to show up, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I cannot. Like, it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I say if you're not driving people to the copy, right? And posting on social media doesn't count as driving people to the copy anymore. It used to. It's not enough anymore. We have to be able to do more, right?
Ooh, please say more about that, because what comes up for me is like, well, you know, you can't just be posting anything. You've got to be posting good content, right? With CTAs, but is it beyond that now?
Yes, it absolutely is. 100% it is, because the noise in the feeds is so loud these days. People are just scrolling, and numbing out and not paying any attention, right? So your headline has to be on point if your post is going to be read at all, right? So even if they get through that, they still need to like see the trust. They still need to see the evidence that is going to help them build trust. It's not a single post that's going to get their attention. And even though that Facebook is like starting to tweak the algorithm a little bit and try to be a little more like TikTok and not show things, and you know, you get like people liking posts from 7 days ago, which blows my mind. But you know, it's still the whole, you have to get outside of your own audience. You need to be in groups, you need to be on people's podcasts, you need to be holding events and doing things that are highly attractive. You can't just post every day and think that you're going to grow your audience that way.
Thank you for that. Because
I'm sorry, I get it.
No. You brought up something that I'm really passionate about that I didn't think to bring up. And that is, you do see these scammy offers where they're like, we made $20,000 with this one post.
No,
Pay
you
us
didn't.
$10,000 and we'll show you how to do it too. And the thing is, like, number one, putting out a post like that, it probably doesn't work as well as it used to. But a lot of times when I would see that, I was like, yeah, this is the post that makes you that money. It hasn't actually
Right?
yet. But you
No.
put this pie in the sky thing and people were like, oh, like, oh, I just need to do this. So number one, just because they say they've done it doesn't mean they've done it. I actually had a coach tell me to put a headline that said, do you want to make 10K months? And at the time, I hadn't had a 10K month. I hadn't had a client who had had a 10K month at that time. I have since. But I was like, I don't feel that that's ethical. And she's like, no. You're not telling them that you can help them have a 10K month. You're just asking them if they want to. And I was like, I see the loophole and that doesn't work for me. Right. So you got to be aware of like that kind of stuff. But these people that are selling, it's just one post. It's never just one post. If you haven't put out 1,000 days of content before that, it doesn't matter how good that one post is. It's not going to convert. And then the other thing you were talking about, like, there's a lot of people that sell, email courses and, talk about like, don't bother with sales calls, just do everything with links. And they talk about all these phenomenal results they have and phenomenal results their clients have had. But links and sales pages and stuff convert from my research between 1% and 3%. And if you're a brand new entrepreneur, or even in your first 2 years of business where you don't have this huge warm audience, you're going to be converting around 1%. So if you're relying just on links to sell your offer, for every 100 people and you having your audience, you might be converting one of them, right? Now, let's say that you're one of these big, overbloated, overrated gurus who have tens of thousands of followers that they have been, brainwashing, warming up for years. Those are the people that are converting at 13%. But sales calls, even for people who don't know what they're doing, convert on average of 20%. So it's but if you've got a good sales page and a good funnel, then that is going to make your job on the sales calls easier, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying that there's no place for it, because there's definitely a place, but another thing, I have a friend who's a copywriter, another friend that's a copywriter, and she was telling me a story about how she helped this woman, clean up her copy, and she was doing copy coaching for this woman, and the woman, her engagement blew up and she booked 20 sales calls, and they were like,
wow,
yes,
but
she had no sales skills. So she didn't convert a single one of them. Right. So
right.
it's like marketing and copyright, all that stuff is super important, but you got to have the sales skills too.
Yeah, you do. I don't even know how many prongs are in that machine, like literally, right? Like sales is the one that you have to have. Like if you can't, like, if you have sales skills, you can sell, what is it? Shit in a bucket? No, what's the saying? I forgot the saying. You can sell shit in a bucket if you have sales skills, right? And that's what copywriters do, is sell. We don't write words, we write profit. That's what I like to say. But so you have to have all the pieces in place, is what what you're trying to say. And it's just so hard for entrepreneurs who don't even know, they don't even know how to coach yet. They don't know what they're coaching in. They don't know how they're going to sell. So at that point, you can't rely, even going back to the creating a post, you have to rely on the relationships you build.
Yes. And your posting and your content can help you build those relationships. But especially in today's world where people are much more wary buyers, we're trying to teach you not to just be like skeptical and paranoid. We're trying to empower you to be educated and know what questions to ask, and how to pick somebody. But you've got to, your content can do some of your relationship building. It can do some of your selling for you, as in like kind of warming people up for the sale.
Yeah, that's what it does. It just warms people up. It doesn't, like, you don't, like, rarely are you going to get people jumping in on stuff from a single post or two, unless it's like a super low ticket or an opt-in kind of thing, you might get, but still, you still have to get outside of your audience in turn. A lot of times, I'm making the assumption that you have a smaller audience if you're newish, so with that said, you got to get out of your audience, and that means reels, it's stories, groups, all the things. So I got off track again.
No. But I mean, this is, again, like I said, like it's all good information for people to know, especially for people who are brand new. But like, the first book that I put out was kind of like, it's a little scattered. This is another reason why I'm redoing, splitting it into 2 books. And the first one is going to be aimed at newer entrepreneurs, but the second one is going to be talking about like some of this other stuff that, to explain why, there's people that have invested time, money, energy, blood, sweat, tears, and they're still not making the promises, of 10 and 20 months. And there's a reason why. And this is what we're talking about, because people are pitching their one thing as the solution to everything. And it's not, it's complicated. There's a lot of moving parts, and people need to be aware of that, Okay. So, what makes the way you run your business different than others in your field? And we talked a little bit about this, but like, I know you're picky about who you take on now.
Yeah. I'm choosy about who I take on. I tend to, what makes me different? I don't know. I guess I'm pretty like, I'm very intuitive, and I'm going to say this, and my coach has told me to say this, and I just getting used to saying it. I have clients that have called me their secret weapon, because I don't just do the copy. That's why I stepped out with the messaging and marketing and mindset work, because in order for my words to work, I was finding that I needed to get them to do the other stuff too. So I would push them to do the other stuff and give them the copy on top of it. And when it worked, they'd be like, "Wow, that was amazing! You're awesome! I can't believe you did this!" Blah blah blah. And so they would call me their little secret weapon. So I guess that's what makes me different. I'm intuitive, and so I know what you're doing is or isn't working, and I make the tweaks and help you beyond just the copy. We do the marketing work, the mindset work, and the messaging to make sure that it all comes together, and that in the sales call where Heather is going to coach you to getting your yes.
Well, my process is, using like pre-qualifying and only getting on calls with people that you're 90% sure are good fits. And then really using the sales call as the last kind of hurdle to really find out what's going on with them, make sure the chemistry's right, make sure that, our visions are kind of aligned and everything. I call myself a sales coach because that's what people understand.
People recognize.
But I don't do sales calls. I do consultation calls. And the difference being for me is a sales call is somebody's going to pitch you no matter what. It's like a foregone conclusion. They're going to ask you all these questions, but it's not really about anything other than just wasting time and making you feel like they're paying attention before they pitch you.
It's just a show.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, I'm going to read this script that my coach gave me, and I'm going to make you feel like I'm listening, but no matter what you say, I'm going to pitch you at the end. That exactly. To me, a sales call. So what I do, consultation call, where I'm pretty sure you're a right fit, but we're going to hash it out. And if I don't think you're a right fit, I'm not pitching.
Right.
So, but yeah, that somebody being picky and somebody not just taking anybody, that's a sign that they're probably actually successful in their business, so they're not hurting for money and they're not desperate. One of the things about the pushy sellers, I'm like, you are showing how desperate you are.
Oh, that right?
Like, ooh,
your colors are showing.
Ooh, I won't say it. Oh my God, snot! What is the deal? I hate allergies. Okay, y'all probably can't see it, but I can feel it. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I love that. I think that you can be a much more powerful copywriter if you also understand kind of how all those pieces work together. right? And so that is
Yep.
definitely something that makes you different, because there's a lot of people that, they're copywriters, but they're still young in their business and they don't really understand marketing and sales yet, so
Right. They don't have all that yet.
yeah, like, and they don't have the experience, and there's, and not to say that a newer copywriter can't help you, not to say
Right.
that a newer coach can't help you, but they're still figuring shit out, right? And we all have to go
Right.
through it. You can't be a grown entrepreneur until you go through being a baby entrepreneur.
Truth. Truth.
Okay. Let's see. What do people need to ask anyone that they are thinking of hiring in your field before they buy? And what are the red flags to watch out for?
Fucking hell. Okay. Oh, can I swear? Oh,
Fuck
we've
it.
been doing it, haven't we? Okay. All right. The questions to ask. If they have any references, right? Like the portfolio, and here, and I have a disclaimer about the portfolio I want to add, but so references or portfolio and or portfolio, um, how long they've been doing what they do, um, what their process is. Does it feel like a good process to you? They may not know what a good process feels like, but if they tell you what their process is, and it feels like what the, then that's not a good fit for you. And then questions. I guess that would be the biggest things, because if you've got good references from clients and you've got a portfolio that if they have results that they can share, then that's great too.
Mhm.
That I would look for first before the references, actually. So results, portfolio, references, and process
Mhm.
should, and like, you can get you can feel from talking to somebody if they feel like a good, whatever. Maybe you can't, I don't know.
I was
I
about to
do.
say there's some people that are like hardcore muggles that can't, and bless their hearts. Like that's, we have an unfair advantage. But I think most people in the online world are a little touched. So which is another reason why, like, I won't work with somebody who won't get on a sales call with me, either as hiring
Yeah.
as a coach or allowing them to hire me, because
Hmm.
I need to feel you out,
Right.
um, God, there was something else that kind of came to me in that. Because I know this is something I ran into before I spoke with you. I spoke with another copywriter, and she was a great writer, but her
Hmm.
stuff, she couldn't get my voice. She couldn't get the sassiness in it. And when I ask a follow-up question, she's used to writing. She writes a lot for like luxury cosmetics and like retreat
Hmm.
and spa brands, and that's the only voice that she's really able to write in right now, and it's not the right voice. So it didn't matter that the copy was really well written, but it wasn't going to work for me.
Right.
So I think
Right.
asking somebody, is there some area that you specialize in? It can be good.
But that's what I was going to say about the portfolio, actually. So it's good that you brought that up, because the portfolio should have like varying degrees of voice in it, right? Like they should have a range of, from bold and authoritative to nurturing and soft, and to this industry, that industry. If they've got a wide range of stuff in their portfolio, then and you can, when you read it, you don't feel like the same person wrote it,
Mhm.
then you did they can adapt to your voice more than likely.
Nice. No, that's a good point.
So yeah.
Are there any red flags that they need to watch out for? Like any just pet peeves about the way other copywriters run their business, or common kind of scammy things that you've seen?
Pushiness, number one. If
Mhm.
they chase you down, run. um
Keep running.
just yeah, don't bother picking up the phone. Take the phone off the hook. um
Block.
right. Other red flags, I guess, yeah, like the portfolio, if it doesn't have that variety, and it just, there's no variation in the tone or the voice, and then they don't have any references at all. Like I can tell, like not all copywriters will have results because they're new, or because they don't, because copy is just one part of things. So they may not be working with a caliber of client that allows them to get those kinds of results.
Right.
you will like, even when I didn't have results, I would have clients would be like, oh my God, I read this copy and I want to buy my own products. I'm so excited. They would
Right.
come back with all this kind of stuff. That counts as a result. It's not necessarily I didn't make $6 million on the sales page or whatever,
Right.
but they were super happy. They had a super happy client, right? So if they have nothing, then run. If they chase you down, run. But yeah, if they're late, if you have one late assignment and I will leave that to you. But if you have a second one, then that's done.
Yeah.
Did I have any late stuff for you? I can't remember.
No, 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 no,
I
no.
try really, really hard. Like I break my face. I will stay up all night to get stuff out because 3 kids and doing all the things of homeschooling and everything else, shit does happen. And I will only be late if it's an absolute last resort. And I have 12 years in this industry, and I think maybe 4 times I might have turned in something late.
Yeah. Well, and it's a difference between, if someone is late, like I'm in a dispute with a coach right now because they were supposed to have my done for you launch, all my graphics and, all this stuff done and a month before my launch. And it was 3 days afterwards and they were still making excuses. And not once did they apologize. They just gave me, oh, it was a software glitch. Oh, the VA was sick. Oh, this, that, and the other thing. And oh, this was my favorite, that my PTSD and anxiety was the problem.
What?
Yeah.
How?
She said, she's in this voice note. It's like, I know you shared with me that you have some PTSD and some anxiety, and I just want you to know that it's normal to feel anxious at this point in the process. And I'm like, fuck you. This if
For
I had,
real.
right, if I had been screaming and like throwing a fit and like being crazy about it, then that might have been a little valid,
Mm-hmm.
still there was no acknowledgement of the fuck up on their end, right?
Right.
I was being very calm. I was just like, hey, this is not working with me. We need to cancel the contract, and can we talk about a partial refund? No, I'm sorry. You can't get out of this contract. You're in it for life. All you can do is keep paying me money for, blah, blah, blah. And so that's why Notori Arundel is coming on. She's a lawyer and a business strategist, and she's going to be doing actually a live. So you guys can hop onto some hot seats and actually talk to her about your contract,
Nice.
as well as what to be aware of before you sign other people's contracts. So
Very cool.
yeah, because that's a thing, right? So if we're human, right? And like, especially in the beginning, we're solopreneurs, and so shit happens. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
difference between, do you learn from your mistakes and like do what you can to keep the same kind of shit from happening? Do you apologize and say, hey, I am so sorry, but I'm gonna be 12 hours late with this, right?
Yep.
That makes all the difference in the world. But if you got somebody that's blaming you for their being late and them fucking up, that's a problem.
I can't even. I can't even.
I'm livid. I'm talking to my lawyer and I'm about to put her name out on because it's
Got to be on
bullshit.
blast.
I'm just done, right? And it's not really about this one person doing it, because unfortunately there's a lot of people that do this kind of stuff. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody, but that's why we're educating you so that you can figure out, like, just because somebody looks like they're doing great, just because they're put out this thing and it's shiny and it's pretty and it looks like the thing that's going to solve like your business, marriage, and health problems all at once.
All at once. Just
That's
change your mindset. It's your mindset.
right. It's just mindset. Like, you see somebody that says that they're going to change your entire life, that's probably something,
Run.
but that's probably a red flag, right? Okay, great. No, I think these are all just so good. Thank you so much, Tanya. So the last thing is, what free resource are you offering to our attendees, and why should they grab it now?
Because you want to get found in social media. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I have a freebie and I can't remember the name of it. It's Sales Machine. It's Sales Machine. Increase your sales with these 4 secrets to selling, or 4 secrets behind words that sell, something to that effect. And basically, I took what I was kept seeing in social media and was like, stop doing this, now go do it this way. So it's basically a condensed version of cash in, which is a thing for me, but it's to help, like, you can go and read that and then just start stopping people when they pass your posts.
Nice. So it's a scroll, stop, and copy type of thing. Um,
Yeah.
Cool. And I can't remember if I talked to you about this or not. Did I talk to you about we're going to offer some prizes?
I don't know.
Well, you don't have to answer right now. If you want to offer a prize, we're going to incentivize people to really share the graphics on their social media and everything
Oh
really
yeah.
put out. So Tanya might offer a prize.
Yeah, no, I will. I can totally offer a prize, but you can let me know. Do I tell you what it is now? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
you can tell if you want to, a lot of people are doing like something like a short live session with the person based off the freebie is kind of what a lot of people are doing, but you don't have to do that.
Okay, so I can do probably like I think the self-led version of my copy course.
Uh-huh.
That would work.
Ooh,
Okay, the
ooh,
self-led version is $99. So I would give that, I could give that away
nice.
for a giveaway.
Nice, 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 nice. Okay,
Okay.
great. So all of this will be in the links above above this post with interview in it. So it'll be very easy. But yeah, Tanya, thank you so much for your time and for you being a part of this.
Thank you for having me. This was great fun and I enjoyed tearing the industry down with you.
It's therapy saved my life, personal growth made it worth living. There are so many good people and so much good in this industry, but we got to talk about the bad because there needs to be some changes. So,
Agreed, agreed,
yeah.
agreed.
Well, thank
Well,
you guys. I'm sorry.
thank you. No, I was just saying agreed. Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for being a part of the summit. Tell your friends. This is important information. This has never been done and it is needed now more than ever. So we appreciate you being a part. Come back. There's going to be even more great people to learn from. So I'm Heather Wild, and this is Tania Dakka, the copywriter.
Thank you so much.